Yeah, very interesting story that's emerged in the media today, and that is that former Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf, he says that there's been an informal agreement between the U.S. government and Pakistan to use drone attacks if there is a need for it. I'm also wondering who would actually make that decision. What's your take on this, in that there's been denials before from the Pakistani government that there was any agreement?
Well, indeed, that's a huge scandal, I think, not only for Pakistan, but maybe for the whole world, because before the Pakistani government issued notes of protest almost every time when U.S. planes or U.S. drones hit targets on the Pakistani territory. So now we see that, this is something that a lot of people suspected in Pakistan and in the United States and other places, that there has been a tacit agreement between the United States and the Pakistani authorities that Americans would sort of do the dirty job for the Pakistanis. They would sometimes destroy the unwanted terrorist leaders, or maybe just people whom the Pakistani authorities didn't like and who happened to be on the American anti-terrorist list. And there was a tacit agreement that sort of a mutual understanding that Americans would strike and then Pakistanis would formally issue protests, which obviously no one took really seriously.
Well, this is after 5 years that Musharraf has been out of Pakistan. He's now back there. Why do you think this information is coming out now?
Well, probably he wants to sort of attract attention to himself because, as you might remember, he came to power in 1999 as a result of a military coup. The coup itself was a very captivating story. He was basically the army chief. He was returning from a trip abroad. And obviously, he claimed that then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif wanted to seal the airport so that his plane would not be able to land and he would die with other people on board. So Musharraf said that he called in the army reinforcements. They took the airport, and later the army deposed Sharif from power. He has been in power for nearly 10 years. Then he was forced to step down and basically forced into exile. Now he returned, and recently the Pakistani court said that he could run for parliament. So probably Musharraf wants to attract attention to himself. And also maybe he wants to tarnish the image of the Pakistani government because look what the Pakistani president and other politicians, what are they going to look like in the eyes of the people? Someone, especially bearing in mind that the United States is extremely unpopular in Pakistan. Here you have a government which, openly says that it protests against the drone strikes and in reality tacitly approves them. And as you might remember, there were hundreds of drone strikes on the Pakistani territory. And there were lots of people dead, not only the terrorists, but very often also innocents, sometimes bystanders. So the drone strikes are extremely unpopular in Pakistan. And obviously, we have a very intricate political game on the side of Musharraf here. I wonder what the fallout will be for the American public opinion now that these things sort of came to light.
And just a couple of facts here. Up to 2,000 people have died due to these drone strikes since 2004, we understand. But they also mentioned that tribal area where many of these drones... Yes, in
northwest of Pakistan.
Yeah. Now, is that a code word for something else when they say tribal area?
Well, no, it's quite an official term. The problem is that on the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan, there are mountains inhabited by very sort of belligerent people, as it often happens with mountaineers. Pashto tribes, which are basically which form the majority of the population in neighboring Afghanistan. And traditionally, the Pakistani government sort of left these people alone. There were areas which the army could not enter. And that has been a long story since the British occupation of India, that was the case. So indeed, sometimes, obviously, there was a sort of a game between the Pakistani authorities and the American authorities. The drones usually struck in the areas which are sparsely populated, deep in the mountains, some remote villages. So later on, sometimes the Pakistani authorities said that it was our plane that killed these people. And sometimes they actually killed people, and then they said, oh no, Americans did it. But obviously both sides knew what actually happened, and both sides sort of played a game on the local public opinion, blaming a certain liquidation of an unwanted person on the United States or on Pakistan. Well, I think all in all, it's a tragic story because you might look at the stories on the New York Times site on the matter. There are hundreds, sometimes several hundreds of commentaries. So people are indeed worried in the United States about what's going on. And if you read these comments, most of the people are worried that with every killed man, or probably even more with every killed woman or a child, the United States gets more unpopular in that area. And probably we get more terrorists instead of getting less of them.
And of course, it's well known that America would like to have the Pakistanis cooperate with them in attempting to get to terrorist targets. And the use of drones obviously has not been very successful in getting people to work with them.
I'm not sure because in general, the drone war was unpopular in Pakistan. And I think it's because of this war that the United States lost the public opinion in Pakistan. Maybe there were some people satisfied in the government or in the army because the drones did the dirty job for them. But I think that we should not underestimate the importance of public opinion. I think it's one of the main problems of the United States right now that this country lost public opinion, for example, in Russia, in Pakistan, in a number of Latin American countries. There were gains, but, the loss of public opinion is always a loss which is very difficult to compensate for.
So overall, what do you think would be the fallout from this revelation that there was a secret agreement to have, or almost a casual agreement, as they say, informal agreement, that these drones be used in Pakistan?
Well, I think there will be a very big reaction in Pakistani politics. It's difficult for me to predict what that reaction will be, but certainly this revelation sort of puts things in a different perspective there. As for the United States, I think that human rights activists, journalists, university professors, they get one more argument for sometimes accusing the American foreign policy of duplicity. Because obviously not only Pakistani officials like Musharraf, but also the United States knew about that agreement, but it was never revealed to the public.
Well, I'm sure that this will not be the last we hear of this. As always, Dimitri, a pleasure. We'll, of course, chat with you on Monday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Me encosta del lado, chama meu nome.